This video is the ultimate guide for any French resource you could possibly need so that you can learn French all on your own. Your devices are likely going to be your best friend when learning French from home, so for an extra boost, turn your phone to French as well. You'll learn words related to electronics like mise à jour, télécharger, mot de passe, and it will quite literally immerse you into your target language right from the start of the day. Next, create a folder on your phone with all your favorite apps to learn French. You need to remove all resistance from your language learning journey, so make sure your phone is a tool, not a hindrance. Word Reference is available as both an app and a website on the internet, and it gives you the definitions of words in context. And I mean a lot of contexts. Va te faire conjuguer is another great app for looking up verb conjugations, and I like to use it so that I don't fall down the rabbit hole of different websites on the internet. The third app I love is France24, which features both news from France and around the world, and it has detailed articles and videos so that you can practice your listening comprehension as well as your reading skills. It's a great way for advanced learners to stay au courant while practicing French. The final app I love is Reverso, which is a quick resource that helps you translate words and sentences, and this is far better than Google Translate, of course, because it also gives you words and sentences that are related to your search, so you can always keep learning more. Much like these apps, I like to keep a few websites handy in case I'm staying away from my phone while I practice French. In the past, I've always made my own vocab sets on Quizlet, but this can often get really boring and cumbersome. But did you know there's actually lots of pre-made word sets made on Quizlet, especially for French? You can find words that you would actually use, hear phrases pronounced, and keep track of the words that you're learning. If you prefer having a website instead of an app to look up verb conjugations, Becherel is a great site to check out. It will also give you suggestions every time you search up a verb in case you're unsure about the form or the spelling of the verb. As a language learner for many years, Anki has been my secret ingredient to language learning. It uses what's called the spaced repetition system, and it's based on language science that says that you learn something best when you practice it right as you almost forget it. And Anki does all this work for you. All you have to do is put in the words that you want to learn, and it will ask you whether the word is easy, medium, or hard. If it's hard, you'll see it again in the next 10 minutes or maybe in a day, but if it's easy, you won't practice the word again for another 7 days. All you do is practice your words 20 minutes a day, and you'll start remembering all your vocab like magic. If you need a little boost getting started, I have an extra tip for you. Go ahead and search up Frequency List French for Anki, and you'll find a list of the 5,000 most frequently used words in French. All you have to do is download it right to your Anki, and you can just get practicing. Now, while you're on the internet, you might as well peruse some awesome content websites and blogs that basically have free resources for you to learn French. I may be a little biased, but I love the FluentU blog because it has grammar and vocabulary tips, resources, and other tidbits that you might find interesting when you're learning French. You can get recommendations for movies and shows to watch, clear up the difference between similar sounding words, and get links to even more resources for endless learning. I know anytime I've searched up a topic in French, I've always found FluentU articles to help me out. And of course, the blog is just the surface. The FluentU platform is my favorite aid for language learning because it's really an all-in-one system. What I like to do is just have it open on the side while I watch other things so that I can easily look up words and grammar tips and see how they're used in context. I also use it to watch videos before I'm ready to approach an entire movie or show by myself, and it's also useful if you don't have too much time on hand and just want a quick boost to your language learning skills. There's a free trial link in the description, so be sure to check it out. ThoughtCo French is a beautiful site with detailed articles and grammar explanations for any level. It's a great place to learn language and culture at the same time, and many of their articles are in English, so if you're just starting out but still want to read up on these interesting topics, it's a great site for you. Flawless French is another extremely detailed site with pronunciation guides, expressions, and grammar help. Most of their articles are also categorized based on the CEFR scale, or the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages, which gives you a level from A1 to C2. So if you know your level, you can find lessons that are suited exactly to your needs. If you like reading the news but are perhaps still at an intermediate level of French, then FluentU is perfect for you. It's actually a site that's geared towards French high school students and features articles from around the world, as well as some smaller topics that might appeal to a younger audience. Especially if you want to break from the high-stress actualities of the world but still want to practice your language skills, FluentU is a great place to learn about the world and practice your French. Now, just because you're stuck at home doesn't mean you can't find someone to practice French with. There's tons of Facebook groups, websites, and apps that are full of other language learners just like you. My favorite is Shut Up and Go, so be sure to check them out on Facebook. Whether you set up a pen pal system or on texting terms, or even just convince your friend to learn French with you, it's really helpful to have someone to motivate you and hold each other accountable, and it's also great to practice your listening and speaking skills with someone else, because this is much more difficult than just talking to yourself where you know exactly what you're going to say. Okay, but yes, I hear you. Je suis trop occupée pour ça. I don't have time for that. That's why I have tips for you to learn French no matter what you're doing. What are you waiting for? Let's go! Labeling things around your house is a fun way to slowly add French into your daily life. Once you finish labeling all the items, you can even add verbs or adjectives that relate to the things around your house, like allumer la lumière, réchauffer avec le four à micro-ondes, or arroser les plantes. Food and language learning? Hello, sign me up! Have you ever thought about all of the steps that are involved in preparing a recipe? Il faut trouver la recette, faire la recherche en français bien sûr, puis il faut faire les courses, and make sure to write your list of ingredients en français aussi. Et finalement, suivez la recette pendant que tu cuisines. This is a great way to learn about the language and culture at the same time, and you get the taste of a country right from your own home. Maybe you've been wanting to try out a new skill or activity this quarantine, like art or a new instrument. Well, I know it sounds kind of obvious, but just like there's tutorials in English, there's tutorials in French. This is even more satisfying because not only are you practicing your language skills, but you also get a tangible output of your practice as well. Some YouTube channels that are arts and craftsy are Madame Patachou and Deuxième Pot, and you can follow along and make DIYs or le bricolage, or simply watch them for fun. Deuxième Pot is also great if you want to get used to understanding l'accent québécois en français.
Est-ce que je serais capable de moi-même peindre mes propres petits chérubins sur mon chandail? De toutes les trois aujourd'hui, celui-là me fait particulièrement peur.
Similarly, just like there's workout channels in English, there's workout channels in French. Gym Direct is one of the most popular French-speaking fitness channels, and they have engaging workouts for your entire body. With popular French music in the background, you'll learn the words of body parts, how to move them, and having a visual reference will help you learn everything and remember much easier.
Ok, redescendez en squat, restez, bloquez, et regardez le mouvement. Ça fait jambe droite derrière, et on revient en squat, jambe gauche derrière, et on revient.
If you're still looking to get some of your basics down but don't want to memorize a boring vocabulary list, FrenchGames.net has got your back. You can choose from over 40 different categories of vocab and 6 different games, and practice until you've got all the words down. Learning can literally be fun in games. Audio is another category that you can get very creative with, and it's a good way to put language learning in the background of your everyday life. Something I like to do when I'm practicing is put on a French Cafe Lounge playlist. There's a great one on Spotify, but I'm sure there's others on all music platforms. And this always makes me feel like I'm in the streets of Paris, living la vie en rose, and I'm always perfectly in the mood to practice French whenever I hear this. If I'm not listening to French Cafe Lounge, I'll be listening to some of my favorite French artists, and I personally love L.E.J., Stromae, and Angèle, but there's so many different French music creators, so go ahead and find your own favorites. Of course, we can't forget about podcasts when it comes to audio, and they're great for putting in the background while you're cooking, doing errands, or doing household tasks. We actually have an entire video on the best podcasts to learn French, so check that one out after this one. If you prefer to dive into something a little longer while practicing your French, YouTube actually has lots of free audiobooks that will keep you practicing your French for hours. For an extra boost, you can also obtain the physical copy of a book and follow along so that you can see how words and sentences flow together and improve your command of the language. Another creative use of audio, albeit a little silly, is to use French nursery rhymes to learn vocabulary. Not only are these songs catchy, once you know a song, you've also memorized all of the vocab that comes along with it. Now that's the end of the day and it's time to relax. One of my favorite things to do is to watch media that I would watch anyways in French instead. That way you don't have to set aside any extra time to practice your language. It's like a 2-in-1. Some great movies to start out with are Amélie and Les Choristes. Les Choristes is a very endearing film about a choir director and his students, while Amélie features the eccentric and vibrant side of French cinema. If you need help deciding which French movie to watch next, check out Films Actu on YouTube, which is a channel that features French movie trailers. Personally, I like watching French YouTubers because I have a relatively short attention span and I like choosing topics that are exactly what I like. This is also a good way to hear different speaking styles and hear French when it's relatively unscripted. My favorite French-speaking YouTubers are Colline BLF, Federico Stauffer, Le Coin d'Elodie, and The Purple Palace. By far, my favorite media to engage with is French comedy, and my favorite comedians are Gad Elmaleh, who's been very popular in France for many years, Paul Taylor, who's originally British, so his videos are half in French and half in English, and Cyprien, who makes sketches and skits on YouTube that are of amazing quality.
Parce que vous avez ajouté des anglicismes dans la langue française qui ne sont pas des mots anglais. Comme le footing. Le footing, ça n'existe pas en anglais, the footing.
For TV shows, I have 2 tips for you. The first is that a lot of internationally made shows are actually dubbed in lots of different languages because they're appealing to such a large audience. Think something like Money Heist actually is dubbed in French and has French subtitles available, so you can rewatch something that you already know so that you can practice your French but also not be completely lost on the plot. My second tip is to watch something like a docuseries. Think Chef's Table France, which features La Haute Cuisine or fine dining in France. Because these are more cinematic and slower paced, they actually are very easy to understand because they're meant to be informational. A lot of things that are originally in French also have French subtitles available that are not auto-generated, so they're all accurate and are a great guide for when you're still learning. Of course, after you soak in all of this beautiful French language, don't forget to put your skills to the test. Even if you don't have someone to speak with, practice speaking with yourself. Me and my shower have had some great conversations in French. Tell yourself about your day, what your plans for the weekend are, and just get used to talking in your second language. Producing French also means practicing writing, and you can either search up prompts online so that you can expand your vocabulary and use different grammar tenses, or keep a journal in French and talk about your day-to-day. That way, you'll get used to understanding which words you personally use and are useful to your vocabulary. So after all of this, what are my favorite resources? Word reference has been my go-to tool for many years because I love how detailed it is no matter what you search up. I also really like FluentU because it's really an all-in-one platform, and I really like the video dictionary feature and the fact that I can see words and phrases used in context. And of course the blog is very robust as well for any French topic I'm curious about. And like I mentioned before, comedy has been my favorite media to watch, and I like it because it's not quite as cumbersome as a movie or a book, but still exercises more vocabulary than everyday speech might. If you like this video, be sure to check out the free PDF linked below on how to work French conversation into your day-to-day. And if you want to dive deeper into my favorite way to learn language, check out this video on learning French with comedian Gad Elmaleh.